Hello and welcome to Byju's Exam Prep IAS. A very warm good evening to everyone. I hope all of you are doing good. I welcome you back to today's webinar where we will be discussing the most important current affairs of the last week or so. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in on time. Let's wait for a couple of minutes. Let others also join in and then we will begin. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Yeah, I am doing good. Thank you so much. Collectively, to everyone, those who are asking, I am doing good. Thank you so much. Good evening, Saurav. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Okay, Anurag, only because you are saying I'll keep smiling. Otherwise, I would not have smiled. Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. By the way, anyone here who is planning for the May 28th attempt? Anyone here who's planning for the May 28th attempt, or everyone is opting for next year or maybe year after that? Okay, there are some people who are saying yes. Okay, okay. Those who are those who don't even have a couple of weeks to go, I wish you all the very best. I hope that all of you remember everything that you had actually studied. That is most important. Please remember, it's not about you not studying enough. Every one of you has studied enough. It's not just about whether you remember that on the day of the examination or not. Nothing more than that. People get selected or rejected because they don't remember. It's not really about whether you have studied or not. You have studied each and everything. It's just about whether you will remember. And again, just a word of advice from me for those who are appearing on the 28th May, because I may not take a webinar between today and 28th of May. That's why I'm telling this to you. So I may not meet many of you. So those of you who are planning for the 28th May attempt, just a couple of advice which can come in handy for others as well. See, when you get the paper, when you start reading the questions, you may get a feeling in the first 10 minutes that you don't know anything, and trust me, that feeling happens with everyone. In the first 10 minutes, you might read a few questions, you would have no idea what this question is all about. So, you might not really be able to get a lot of confidence in the first 10 to 15 minutes. However, my advice would be begin with those questions which you find the easiest, wherever they are. Wherever they are, doesn't matter. Question number 30, 40, 50, in between. Just mark a couple of questions which you know, or two or three questions which you know. Build your confidence, feel good about yourself, and then start attempting the paper. So, whatever that you would be attempting, please make sure that at least start with the ones that you already know. After that, maybe you can opt in for others as well. Okay, so let's see what do we have in store for you today. The ones that we will be discussing are these topics. So these are weekly current affairs, the current affairs in the last week or so. A few people are saying I discussed this already, but I don't manufacture the news. So what the news is will remain the news. So if you saw some of these being discussed on the YouTube channel, again, because as news is the same. We will be starting our discussion with the Ayush ICMR collaboration. Why is that important for the country? Supreme Court ruling on Delhi government. Then Shanti Niketan, that is a home of Gurudev, Dr. Rabindranath Tagore, may be added to the World Heritage List. Pakistan, China planning to expand CPEC to Afghanistan. Then National Technology Day. As you know, we just completed 25th year anniversary of India's Pokhran test in 1998. So we'll be discussing about that. Then a government initiative, Poshan Bhi Padhai Bhi, has been launched with respect to Anganwadi specifically. So we'll be discussing what that is. Then Saksham LIMS has been launched. What exactly is Saksham? What does it try to do? Then 8 years of Jan Suraksha scheme. Jan Suraksha scheme means a host of welfare schemes by the government of India, mainly in the field of insurance. 8 years have been completed. We'll be discussing about that. And in the end, there's a UN report that has come out on maternal and infant health. All these UN reports are extremely important. They give you a lot of fodder data, mainly for the mains examination, and they can also be asked in the prelims examination as well. This is all that we have for you to be covered today. Again, if there are some topics that you have already discussed, then bye bye, take care of yourself. But if you are someone who wants to revise these, please stay back. Also, as I said, I don't manufacture the news. What the news is, that will be discussed today and that was discussed earlier as well. So let's begin. The first important thing that has happened is there has been a collaboration announced between Ayush and ICMR. Now, what is Ayush? What is ICMR? What is the collaboration all about? Let's try and understand that. So, basically, the Ayush ministry, whose responsibility is to give a push to alternative medicine. What exactly is alternative medicine? See, the idea is that rather than having those allopathic medicine, you should be able to treat yourself in an alternate method. Maybe not having medicine at all, or maybe having natural medicines. That is the idea of alternate medicines. We have the Ministry of Ayush that is responsible for giving a push to all these kind of treatments. That is Ayurved, yoga, naturopathy, Unani, Siddh, homeopathy, all of these together make up Ayush. Now, Ayush has recently joined a collaboration with the ICMR. The responsibility of ICMR is that they give a push to scientific treatments in the country. So, in simple terms, Ayush and ICMR are coming together to have scientific studies about the impact of Ayurved, impact of yoga, naturopathy, all these kind of things, so that there can be scientific evidence collected, and then these techniques can be opted for or can be prescribed to patients, not just in India but all around the world. That is the simple idea. Ayush techniques to be tested scientifically with the collaboration of ICMR. Now, as you would have noticed, especially ever since the COVID-19 pandemic, the government of India has been focusing a lot on giving a push to Ayush. The reason being that they are considered, or these techniques are considered to be more Indian. So they have been a part of our culture. They contribute a lot to India's soft power. They are also considered to be much safer as compared to the other medicines. For example, India has been able to convince the entire world that we should have the International Yoga Day. The government of India has also been trying to give a push to Ayurveda, to Unani, and all these kind of technologies which are a part of alternate medicine. The problem here is that if we want that our technology or our medicinal therapies that are Ayush are spread all around the world, they need to be based on science. There has to be scientific data to prove the efficiency and the efficacy of all these treatments. And that is why Ayush Ministry and ICMR have come together. In the beginning, the idea is there will be scientific trials conducted, especially on Ayurveda. So, what will happen? Let's say there are two patients having similar kind of a disease. One patient will be given Ayurvedic medicines, while the other patient will be given allopathic medicines. And then we will compare out of the two which patient is recovering better, which patient is showing the symptoms that the situation is improving or deteriorating, so that we can conclude scientifically what is the impact of Ayurvedic medicines on a person who is unhealthy. That is the entire idea. The starting will be with Ayurveda. Maybe after Ayurveda, the other type of components of Ayush will be taken into consideration, such as naturopathy, yoga, Unani, Siddh, Sova Rigpa, and even homeopathy. By the way, let me ask this question to you. Do you know homeopathy originated in which country? I know there may be a lot of people who are great supporters of homeopathy here. Do you know where homeopathy originated? In which country exactly? Yes, Germany. So Germany is a country where homeopathy actually originated. I'll tell you a very interesting fact. Now, I am not taking any side, whether I believe in homeopathy or I don't believe in homeopathy, whatever. But I'll tell you an interesting fact. Do you know homeopathy took birth in Germany? And even in Germany, now they don't practice homeopathy because they think that this is not scientific. So in Germany itself, that is the birthplace of homeopathy. They have ditched homeopathy. They think that no, it's not scientific enough, it's not effective enough. So even they have shifted. But India still has a lot of homeopathic doctors, a lot of people who prefer homeopathic medicines. I'll tell you one more thing that you must remember. There is a misconception that we have in our minds with respect to homeopathy or Ayurveda, etc. That misconception is your parents might have told you, your grandparents might have told you, or your Ayurvedic doctor may have told you that Ayurveda or homeopathy doesn't have any side effects. Have you seen this? Homeopathic doctors, for example, when they give this sweet medicines, the white colored candy kind of a medicine, they'll tell you, no, no, it doesn't have any side effect. Have you noticed this? Okay. Now, please remember, there is absolutely nothing in the world that doesn't have a side effect. Everything in the world can have a side effect if you are not taking it in the correct quantity. Even the best of things, if you overdose it, it will harm your body. Even if the best of things are not taken in the correct quantity, they will have a side effect. So this concept of no side effect doesn't really work. If you are not following what the restrictions are, if you're not following what exactly are the requirements, you will have certain kind of a side effect. Anyway, so the idea here is that ICMR will have certain clinical trials to make sure that we understand what is the efficiency of Ayurvedic treatments, and we will be able to spread this across the entire world. Now, it's a part of our soft power. It can also really help us in expanding our foreign trade. Many of you might know this already. India does export a lot of medicines around the world. India, in fact, is known as a pharmacy of the world, in the sense that India exports a lot of generic medicines. Do you know what are generic medicines? Do you know what are generic medicines? Have you heard this? I'm sure people in medical field would know this. Okay. So see, generic medicines, the simple idea is, for example, all of you might have heard of paracetamol, right? Now, paracetamol is usually a salt, or it's usually a medicine that you take when you have body pain, headache kind of a thing. So paracetamol is just a basic salt, right? Now, different countries, what they do is different countries actually make different versions of it. For example, some company may release a pink color tablet. It will just be paracetamol 500 mg. The company will just give their brand name, give their color, and they will say this is the best form of paracetamol, take it from us at 50 rupees. Some other company might change the name, might change the branding, might change the color of the tablets, and then at the end they would start selling it at their own price. Generic medicines are those which are sold without any brand name. So generic medicine would be, they will be given to you in the form of paracetamol only, nothing more than that. That will be much cheaper. For example, usually if you take a paracetamol tablet that is branded, a strip of 10 tablets may cost you 50 rupees, 60 rupees. Generic medicines, you can get a packet of 100 tablets for not even 100 rupees. Trust me, you can get a 100 tablet packet, not even 100 rupees. That is usually called generic medicines. So generic medicines are the same, without any branding, without any of that kind of marketing. It's sold at a much cheaper cost. By the way, did you read it? Just in, I think, today or yesterday's paper, the government of India has now asked the government doctors, that now when you're prescribing a medicine to your patient, you should prescribe a generic medicine only. Did you read that news? There was a news, I think, today or yesterday. So now the government, I think today, right? Yeah, today. So the government has asked government doctors to prescribe only generic medicines to their patients. Under the Jan Aushadhi Kendra, under which the government of India gives very highly subsidized medicines. In the Jan Aushadhi Kendra, when you go, you can buy paracetamol. That will be generic medicines. So generic medicine is the same, just that the generic medicine doesn't have the branding. It's the same. It's at a fraction of a cost. I don't know how many of you, if you know anyone who runs a medical store, because I know many people who run a medical store or people running a medical store have huge profit margins, huge profit margins. So, for example, an eye drop that you buy for 90 rupees or 100 rupees, that medical store owner might have got it from the stockist at 5 rupees or 6 rupees. You know that? That is how the margins are. in medicines. So if you get, let's say, a syrup, 10 rupees, they can sell it at 100 rupees, 120 rupees. That is how it usually works. I am not trying to say that that should be a backup career option, but again, this is not a backup. This is not a bad backup career option. If you really wanted to have one, it's an amazing one. You you just need to have a license. So start applying for a license. Maybe by the time your result comes in, you will have a license also. So who knows, right? Ready for everything. Okay, let's come back. So as I said, we okay, don't lose your sleep over margins. That is not something that you should focus your time on. Let's come back to where we were. So what has happened is the government of India has been trying to give a push to Ayush. A separate ministry was set up some time back, the Ayush ministry, specifically to put forward the idea. We have also been using international platforms such as the WHO to tell the people about all these kind of medicines. We have Global Center for Traditional Medicines that was set up in Jamnagar in Gujarat. Again, a center where traditional medicines, they will be given encouragement. We also have other kind of plans from the side of the government of India. We just had the Global Ayush Investment Innovation Summit. Again, just like the branded medicines sell at a higher price, similarly the government also has to ensure that they brand their products. So for example, when the government has to actually attract other leaders or other private sector organizations to come in and to invest in our country, we have to brand that. That is why these summits, etc., are held. You would see that in every state now we have these investment summits. UP has an investment summit, and then there's an investment summit of Odisha, Maharashtra. All these countries have, all these states rather, have their own investment summits. This is also an investment summit of the same kind. Then we also, as an initiative from the side of the government, we have a new category called Ayush Ahar that has been introduced by FSSAI. So some products which are in this category can carry this printed name that they're Ayush Ahar, so that they can be sold better in the market. These will be Ayurvedic nutritional supplements. The government of India has also set up institutes such as National Ayush Institute of Eminence. Then we also have the All India Institute of Ayurveda in Goa, in Ghaziabad, in Delhi. Also, these institutes have been set up so that the government of India can attract more people towards this. It's about supply and demand, right? You first have to create a demand. More and more people should actually want Ayush based treatment. And on the other hand, you should have enough supply also, means people in this field. So you should first have enough people asking for this kind of treatment, and then you should also have enough people taking up this as a study. So government is working on both these fields. They are working under the assumption that more and more people will be attracted, not just in India, from outside India as well, and we are trying to get more and more people to take this up as a field of study. There's something else that you can actually read. Every ministry of the government of India publishes something called the year end review. Year end review is kind of a report that these ministries publish where they tell what did they achieve in the last year or so, what are their important plans, what are their important initiatives. Ayush ministry released this. This is a summarized version of what the Ayush ministry did. For example, uh, as I said, under FSSAI, there's Ayurved Ahar as a new product category. Then there was something called the One Herb, One Standard as an initiative launched by the Ayush Ministry. They have also been trying to get homeopathy much more recognition by leaders across the entire world. Ayush Ministry also signed an agreement with Indian government's Ministry of Electronics and IT to digitalize all the database and knowledge that Ayush has. So a lot of Ayurvedic knowledge is just written in rough form or hard copy. So all that has to be converted to a digitalized form. This is what the Ayush ministry wants the Ministry of Electronics and IT to do with them. These are just examples of what the Ayush ministry has done. This is not the complete report. This is just a summarized version of the year end review of this Ayush ministry. We also had something called the Har Din Har Ghar Ayurved, which was an initiative by the government of India on Ayurved Day. to tell people about what is Ayurveda, why they should adopt this. All these can be asked rather in the prelims examination also, and they can also be asked in the mains examination as well. In the mains exam, for example, if you have a question about how is the government trying to promote Ayush, you can give all these examples over there as well. We also have the National Ayush Mission, under which the government of India is planning to set up wellness centers as well across the country, yoga, naturopathy, etc. We are also trying to introduce sports medicine through Ayush. This is interesting. Sports medicine is mainly for treating sports related injuries. They are high ticket value items. People spend a lot of money to treat their sports injuries. That can also be done using Ayush. All these are components of the National Ayush Mission. We'll be focusing on medicinal plants and making them much more famous. These are the other initiatives related to Ayush taken by the government of India. For example, 10% of sub centers will be under the Ayushman Bharat scheme will be upgraded as health and wellness centers and will be developed by Ministry of Ayush. So under the Ayushman Bharat scheme also, when you come to have treatment, you will have the option of taking these Ayush treatment as well. They are also collaborating with other agencies such as National Program for Prevention Control of Cancer, Diabetes, again to undertake study whether Ayurvedic medicines can help in these kind of treatments or not. All these are examples that you can quote if there's a question asked on this. Similarly, recently, there was an institute called Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga that was inaugurated by the government. We also have Ayush wellness classes in different parts of the country. There is another portal that the government is running. Again, another example called E-Aushadhi portal. E-Aushadhi portal can give you a lot of information about all these kind of techniques. If you want to delve deeper into it, if you want to undergo research data, all that has been put on the E-Aushadhi portal. Misbah is saying, should we learn all this information? See, in the mains examination, you can pick and choose and give a few examples from this. It's not possible to learn all of this. I would suggest you, from the prelims point of view, don't remember these institutes that are set up. From the prelims point of view, you would not have to tell, or you would not be asked which institute is set up where, what institute is doing what. In the mains examination, the question is on the broader perspective of how the government is giving a push to Ayush. You can give a few examples from there. For the prelims point of view, I would really advise you to focus more on issues such as this: what portal has been launched, what new alternate system has been launched by the government. That will be much, much more helpful. This is the first practice question for today. Read it carefully. I'll give you your options. Let's see if you are able to solve this. It is a question with respect to something called the Guardian Ring program. If you were reading the slides carefully, it was mentioned in the slides. Let me know once you have read this. Done? Okay. Take your time, don't worry. No rush. Should we go ahead? Okay. Let's start. 39% people got this one right. This is C. All of these are absolutely correct. I deliberately did not discuss a bit about Guardian Ring program. If I just take you back here, see, this is the Guardian Ring program. The Guardian Ring program is another one of the initiatives launched by the government of India. So this is again one of those initiatives to popularize the idea of how yoga can build in your immunity. This was about how yoga is being practiced across the entire world. It was exclusively telecasted on DD. I know a lot of people marked C as incorrect because they saw the word exclusively, right? Many people thought the word exclusively would not be correct, and that is why many people would have marked this wrong, but this is actually true. All these statements are absolutely correct. Okay, before I go on to the second one, let me take up a few questions. First question that I have from Soumya. Are we looking forward to randomized controlled trials for implementation of these techniques? Yes, Soumya, exactly. This is the exact thing that will happen. They will start with Ayurveda. They will test how Ayurveda is giving an impact. There will be randomized controlled trials under scientific conditions, and then they will publish the study. Veena is saying, what is the difference between naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, Sova Rigpa, Ayurveda, and homeopathy? So there's a long question, right? So these are different forms of treatment. I'll explain a couple of these. Homeopathy, as you know, it's a German science. It's based on liquid medicines that are given. So there are liquid solutions. You get those sweet medicines where the liquid is absorbed, and you get that. So basically, it's based on different types of liquid chemicals. Sova Rigpa is an interesting science. It's a science practiced in Tibet in the Himalayas. It's very similar to naturopathy. It's similar to naturopathy where you eat or where you heal yourself using some form of different exercises and consuming natural things only. Uh, Ayurveda, I'm sure all of you know, Ayurveda means using our own cultivations nearby us, plants, medicine that have medicinal value, and then treating a disease through that. Ankur is saying why the government of India is encouraging it then. Ankur, I'm not sure if I understand the context of your question. If I'm correct, let me know, Ankur. Is your question about when I said Germany has not been practicing it? Is that why you're asking? That Germany is not practicing it, then why is India practicing it? If that is what your question is about, then see, it's every government's own decision. The government of India believes in this. The government of India still has a lot of people who believe in the science of homeopathy. If that is what your question is. It's not just that India is the only country. There are a few countries in the world that do practice homeopathy. For some people, it has given positive treatment, so why not? Bhavi saying it's placebo effect. I'm not sure it's placebo or not. For some people, it does work, but I'm not one of those. Bhanu is saying, what do you mean by brand their product? So I'll give you an example. You all see this cup? You all see this cup? Okay, let's take this example. So let's assume this cup. Okay, if I just sell you this cup, I will be selling this cup to you at a very cheap price, right? I'll sell this cup to you at 1 rupees per cup. On the other hand, what I do is I write my name here, or I write Versace, or I write Gucci. Then I will sell you this cup for 1 lakh rupees. Why? Because it has my name. It's nothing different, it's the same. The same cup, the same quantity, the same amount of water. There is nothing that would change. I will just give it to you by putting my brand name over here, and then I can sell it at a higher price. Exactly, this is what happens with the medicines as well. If you just sell someone paracetamol by saying this is paracetamol, that will be much cheaper. But then you brand it, you give it a name of your company like Dolo 650, or there are other companies that make paracetamol, Parasip, etc. They put their name on this, and then because people believe that these companies are trustworthy, let me buy their product by giving a higher price. For example, why do you pay a higher price for the same kind of a phone, or same kind of a bag which has luxury brand name on it? You'll pay a higher price for that. As simple as that. But for medicine, it doesn't really work like that. For medicines, it will have the same impact. There will be no different impact whether you have the generic medicines or you have the branded medicines. The doctors also take undue advantage. For example, have you seen it? How many times have you seen it that doctor has written you a medicine, and you go to this chemist shop, the medical store, and the medical store tells you, I don't have this medicine available. Can I give you an alternative to this? Have you seen this? Many times the medical store will ask you, do you want an alternative? And then many people say, no, 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 I don't want an alternative. I want the exact same medicine. But it is the same. The alternative would also have the exact same composition, it's just by a different company. But because of lack of knowledge, we think that no, we want the exact same medicine. So that is how it usually works. Again, those who are doctors or those whose parents are doctors, I'm sorry, but a lot of doctors, for example, will write the medicine to you where they have the best margin. So it works like that. uh, then I have a question. However, we emphasize more. Okay, I think you want to emphasize. We emphasize more on reform in tertiary instead of focusing on grassroots problem of health infrastructure. See, I'll suggest everyone that, see, when you're preparing for the UPSC examination, anything that you write has to be corroborated by certain facts. For example, if you just say that government is not focusing on primary healthcare, do you have the data to prove that? For example, you should say that government has spent only this much money in primary healthcare and that much money in secondary. That is why they're not focusing on primary healthcare. That is why you prove they're not focusing on primary healthcare. So look at the fact. It's not that government is ignoring only one over the other. I would suggest you, let's go into facts. Okay, let's start with the second topic then. The second topic that we have here is about the Supreme Court ruling on what happened in Delhi. As you know, the Supreme Court had a pretty busy week. They gave a lot of important political judgments, so to say. One with respect to Delhi, then with respect to Shiv Sena in Maharashtra. Delhi and Delhi's this battle with the center government is not a new thing, it's a pretty old thing. As you know, the Delhi government, Delhi in itself doesn't have a complete statehood. So Delhi doesn't have all the powers that other states have. For example, in simple terms, Delhi cannot make laws on police, land, and public order. So Delhi cannot make laws on these, but the problem is, even apart from this, their powers have been curtailed. The center government, for example, time and time again says that Delhi is the national capital. So the center government should have a say in how Delhi will be governed. Delhi, on the other hand, says that no, we are a democratically elected government. We have the power to decide how our functioning will be. The latest issue between Delhi and the center government is over services. So basically, I, I don't know how many of you have realized this, but just understand this. See, we have the UPSC at the center government level. At the state government level, the state governments have their own PCS exam, right? We have the UP PCS, you have the Rajasthan PCS, you have all these different types of PCS. Do you realize Delhi doesn't have its own PCS exam? Delhi doesn't have its own PCS exam, right? By UP PCS, Rajasthan, Karnataka, everyone has their own PCS, but Delhi doesn't have it. So, in other words, while the other state governments can still do without the IAS, other state governments, for example, can say that, okay, if we don't have enough IAS officers, we have our own bureaucracy. So, they can depend on their own bureaucracy. Delhi cannot. Delhi has to be dependent on all these IAS officers or the officers that are coming in from the central government deputation. Now, what is the problem here? The problem in this case is that Delhi government says that in order to have good administration, they should have control over their officers. For example, most of the state governments can actually decide on the transfer of the IAS officers. So let's say if you're working in Maharashtra cadre or UP cadre, the government of UP, government of Maharashtra will decide about your transfer. But in Delhi, that is not the case. The IAS officers working for Delhi are not under Delhi government control. Central government decides them. So what has happened is, I'll give you an example. What happened was, a few years back, Delhi chief minister wanted an officer to become his chief secretary. But center government denied. Center government said, no, this IAS officer is needed somewhere else. We'll post him somewhere else. So whichever officers are needed by the Delhi government, those officers are usually taken away by the central government. That has been a big problem. So the battle right now in Delhi is over the services. Who controls the services? In other words, who can give the order about transfer of officers, removal of officers, etc. The Supreme Court in this case has taken the side of the Delhi government over the center government. The Supreme Court has said unanimously that Delhi government should control their bureaucracy, not in matters of public order, police, and land. That is separate. But apart from that, on all other matters, the bureaucracy that is working in Delhi should abide by the orders given by the Delhi government rather than the central government or the lieutenant governor. So, in simple terms, this is a win for the Delhi government. Now, as you know, Delhi right now is one of the three union territories in India to have their own legislature. But that was not always the case. Before 1991, Delhi did not have its own government. There was no Delhi legislature as such. Delhi just had their own municipality, and the center government, through the Home Ministry, they used to control Delhi and all the affairs of Delhi. So, Delhi having their own government is a very new phenomenon. It's not a very old phenomenon. Article 239 AA, that is the article that was inserted by 69 Constitutional Amendment Act that led to Delhi getting the status of a union territory with a legislature. Ever since then, there have been issues that have come up about how much powers the Delhi legislature should have, how much power should it not have. Now, I know there are different ideas here. I'm sure in the chat also you mean the same. There are different ideas that we have to understand. Delhi has been demanding its own statehood, right? Delhi has been demanding its own statehood. The idea of statehood means that they want the same powers as are given to the other states. Delhi to be given statehood or not to be given statehood, there are different arguments on both sides. Let me give you both the arguments. First, let's take the argument of why Delhi deserves statehood or why Delhi should be given statehood. First, at the end of the day, it is a democratically elected government. So it's a democratically elected government. When you have people who have chosen their own government, then you have to allow that government to have enough powers to rule over the area. Second, if you take examples of all around the world, let's take an example of, let's say, US. So US capital is Washington DC. Take an example of France, French capital Paris. Take example of London. All these big capitals around the world, London, Paris, Washington DC, they are not under central government. They have their own local mayors that are very powerful. London has a mayor, for example, very powerful mayor. He controls most of the things in London. Even London police is under the mayor. Similarly, in Washington, the mayor is very powerful. Similarly, in Paris, the mayor is very powerful. So, if you look at examples all around the world, there are many examples where it's not the central government that controls their capital. There is a local administration that controls it. Third reason why Delhi should be given statehood, as I gave you an example, Delhi doesn't even have their own PCS, so they don't even have their own officers that they can rely on for their bureaucracy. They're always dependent on the central government to give them enough officers. So all these are reasons on one side of the story that Delhi should be given statehood. On the other hand, why Delhi should not be given statehood? There are also reasons for that. First, it is a national capital. Now, when you have a city that is a national capital, obviously you want that central government should control that. What kind of a central government would it be when they don't even have control over their own national capital? Second interesting fact that many people don't realize, please understand this. Delhi police has a huge size. There are a lot of people working in the Delhi police. Because they are guarding the national capital, they are an oversized police. Because the Delhi police comes under the central government's home ministry, the salary and the pension of Delhi police comes from the central government. Tomorrow, if Delhi government takes control over Delhi police, then they would have to bear the burden of salary and pension of the Delhi police, which is not really something that their budget is good enough for that. Their budget is not really suitable to have this huge pension and the salary bill of the Delhi police. This is also one of the reasons that Delhi doesn't or should not really have a statehood. Other example, if something wrong happens in Delhi, it becomes a global news. It's not just Indian news, it's known globally. So, if it comes with global prestige of India, then it is the center government that should control what is happening in Delhi rather than the state government. So, there are arguments on both sides of the story. Even if you support one of the sides, please make sure you have arguments on the other side of the story as well. Those who are asking what is sui generis means unique of its own kind. It means unique of its own kind. That is called sui generis. So Delhi has a sui generis status. It has a different kind of a status as compared to other states or even as compared to other union territories. These are capital A's. As we discussed, Article 239 double A is the article that was inserted by 69th Constitutional Amendment Act that gave a legislature to Delhi. Delhi legislature has 70 members. For the Council of Ministers in Delhi, please remember the 15% rule does not apply here. For Delhi, the rule is they can have maximum 7 ministers, including the chief minister. They cannot have 15%. Their council of minister size is 7. So, including the chief minister, they can only have 7 ministers and not more than that. So, that is 10%. These are some of the other important provisions of Article 239A. As you know, Delhi's powers are really restricted in the sense that when Delhi legislature sends a bill to Lieutenant Governor, the Lieutenant Governor sends a lot of those bills to the President of India. And then the President of India can actually send the bill back. The President can also use pocket veto. So Delhi government keeps on saying that they will or they are not happy because they are not being treated at par with the other states, because their bills keep on going to the President of India, and the President of India does not really return those bills in a time bound manner. This has also been an issue between Delhi and center government. I'll give you one more example. Have you tell me this? There is a 15% rule of the Council of Ministers, right? That maximum we can have 15% Council of Ministers. What do the governments do to actually circumvent this rule? Do the governments have some exception? What idea do they follow to for this 15% rule? Okay, I'll give you an example. Now listen to this very carefully. There is something called parliamentary secretary. Do you know what is parliamentary secretary? There's something called parliamentary secretary. Okay, let's try and understand this. Understand this. Okay. So basically, the concept of parliamentary secretary started in UK. So in UK, what used to happen was, listen to this very carefully. In UK, what used to happen was, let's say there is a minister who is a member of lower house. Okay. Let's say there's a home minister who is a member of the lower house. So if someone wants to ask a question to home minister who is in the upper house, how will he ask a question? Again, a minister, let's say, is in the lower house. Someone from the upper house wants to ask a question to the minister. How will they ask a question? So, on behalf of the home minister, one of the members was given the role of parliamentary secretary in the upper house. So, he would represent the home minister in the upper house, answer questions on this behalf. That was what UK used to do. In India, the issue is different. In India, let me give you an example of what happened with Delhi. This is about a few years back. Few years back, when the Aam Aadmi Party came to power, Aam Aadmi Party had a lot of MLAs in Delhi. Even today, they have a lot of MLAs in Delhi. Now, the issue is, as per the 91st Constitution Amendment Act, the maximum number of Council of Ministers that you have is 15% of the strength of the lower house. So, in Lok Sabha, if Lok Sabha is 543 members, you can have maximum ministers which are 15% of 543. In Delhi, the maximum number of ministers that you can have is 7. So what happened was, Delhi government wanted to give important post to their other MLAs also. Because see, when you have so many MLAs, every MLA wants to become a minister, every MP wants to become a minister. So what do? When you have so many demands that everyone wants to be a minister, you find some loophole. So in Delhi, what happened? Delhi government appointed many of their MLAs as parliamentary secretary. Keep on listening to this. This is important. So Delhi government appointed many of their MLAs, gave their position as parliamentary secretary. What was the job? The job was that they can undertake inspection of schools, hospitals, etc. as kind of a minister, but not really a minister. So they can go in schools, hospitals, undertake inspection. That was a job given. The problem was this was under the concept of office of profit. Office of profit rule is, if you are a member of the legislature, you cannot have an executive position also. So there was a case filed that how is it that Delhi members of legislative assembly, how is it that they have become parliamentary secretaries? This is in the office of profit, so they should be disqualified. Now, how does this rule work, the office of profit rule? The rule is, lower house can pass a law to exempt certain offices from office of profit. So Delhi legislature could pass a law, and they will write in the law that parliamentary secretaries will not be considered as an office of profit. So Delhi government did pass this law so that their parliamentary secretaries were exempted from this problem of disqualification. This law was sent to the LG. Lieutenant governor sent the bill to the president, and the president never came back. The president never sent the bill back. The president never sent the bill back. That was a problem because of which many Delhi MLAs were disqualified as well. So this is an example of Delhi government passing a bill, getting it to the lieutenant governor then giving it to the president, and the president just not responding to it. This is a problem that we have in Delhi, and it exists even today. This is a kind of question that you can expect. This is not really a topic from where you can expect many prelims based question, but yes, you can have some mains based questions. In fact, there has been a question on 69th Constitutional Amendment Act. Try and read this topic. It has been asked in the mains exam earlier as well. Okay, let me take up a few questions before I go ahead. Bhavi is saying how MLAs can become parliamentary secretary. It should be for MPs. No, there's no such law that parliamentary secretary can only be for MPs. It's a post, you can give it to anyone. So they gave it to them. Nikhil is saying, but if Delhi government is given the control of services, won't they interfere with the functioning of central government? I How can Delhi government interfere in working of central government? Delhi government officers will work on Delhi government officers' files. I don't think there's an interference with the central government. Then Priyanka is saying Article 239AA gave Delhi the status of NCT. Article 239AA gave Delhi their legislature. So Delhi legislature that you see today, Delhi Vidhan Sabha, it was established by 239AA. Then Shahnawaz is saying, in healthcare, government share is 0.3% of GDP. By this less amount, despite Indians spend 70% of income in health. I can't defend the government. If government is spending a lesser amount, I can't be someone who can answer you why. Ideally, they should spend more money. Maybe they don't have enough money. Maybe that is the problem. So I can't tell you why government is spending lesser money on health. Everyone wants more money to be spent on health. But again, the problem in India is we just don't have enough people contributing in direct tax. As simple as that. Krishna is saying if Delhi has controlled by central government, then why is it the most unsafe place for common man? I think Delhiites would not like you saying this, but I don't know how to answer this, man. How can I tell you how is Delhi unsafe for common man? I'm not responsible for this. How can I tell you? I don't know. Write to you, Modi ji. Maybe he'll tell you. That's the better person to answer this question. Don't worry, UPSC will not ask you why Delhi is an unsafe place. Shrishti is saying, who should Why should Delhi be given full statehood? Srishti, I already discussed pros and cons of both. I told you the examples of both the sides, so you can take your own call whether Delhi should be given statehood or not. Bhavi is saying, is there difference between public order and law and order? No, this is the same. In the state list entry in the seventh schedule, it is written as public order. Ajay is saying, do we have parliamentary secretary appointed in Lok Sabha? No, Ajay, we don't have parliamentary secretaries in the current government right now. Earlier governments did have some people as parliamentary secretaries, although. Sneha is saying, who can be parliamentary secretary? Anyone that the government wishes to. Government can make anyone as a parliamentary secretary. There is no qualification criteria as such. Okay, then I have a question from Bhuvneshwaran, sorry. Do Delhi have own revenue industry like other states? Yes, they do have their own revenue. Delhi doesn't have a lot of industry. It has more services industry, not a lot of manufacturing. But yes, Delhi has its own revenue and industry. Delhi, in fact, claims to be the state with the most profitable government, the most profitable accounts. Basically, if you see the revenue of the Delhi government versus the spending, they are the ones who are in positive. They say most, but again, the it's not very honest because most of their expenses, like the salary, etc., comes in from central government. That is why they are revenue profit. Then I have a question from Prashant. Difference of power between state government and government of UT. This is something that you will read in Indian polity. State governments can make laws on all matters of the state list and all matters of concurrent list. For UTs, the powers are restricted. For UTs, let's say there is a subject on a state list for a union territory. If they make a law, Parliament can also make a law on state list subject of union territories, and Parliament's law will be considered as more powerful. Just like in the concurrent list, if the same law is made by center and the state, central law is more powerful. Similarly, for UTs, the same happens for state list as well. Nikhil is saying how this change can help in federal politics. I don't think it will help in federal politics. Not everything can help in federal politics. Unfortunately, I don't think it will. It can only have a negative impact because, again, the problem is we are living at a time where there is so much party division between the two sides, opposition and the ruling party, that there's a lack of trust. I don't think this specific ruling will have any impact on federal politics. I'm very sure if the Supreme Court has given a decision in favor of Delhi government, very soon central government will come up with a new law to curtail powers of Delhi government once again. So it's an ongoing process. Let's move ahead then. The third topic that we have, especially from the prelims point of view, is Shantiniketan may be added to the World Heritage List. Shantiniketan, as you know, is the home of Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. There are news stories that this will be added very soon to UNESCO World Heritage List. Who makes the recommendations? The recommendations to UNESCO are made by a body called ICOMOS, International Council on Monuments and Sites. So they are the ones who advise to UNESCO. So Government of India basically will give them the recommendation and they will pass on the recommendation to UNESCO. That is how it usually works. So the idea is that we want World Heritage Site status to be given to Shanti Niketan. Now, India does have a lot of World Heritage Sites. There are different types of World Heritage Sites, as you should know. For example, India has some intangible cultural heritage sites as well. Intangible heritage sites means something which is not really a sculpture, something which is an experience, an event, like Durga Puja celebrations in Kolkata. It's not a structure, it's not a place, it's just an event of how it is celebrated. That experience, that is also a part of intangible cultural heritage. India has about 40 of UNESCO World Heritage Sites right now. These are the important ones. As you can see here, divided state-wise. Most of them are cultural sites. There are some natural sites, and there is one mixed site as well. Any idea which one is a mixed site? Let me remove this map. Any idea which one is a mixed site? Cultural, natural, and mixed. Which one is a mixed one? How can Sikkim be the answer? How can the entire state be a cultural site? It can't be the entire state, right? Okay, I'll just reveal the answer. Yes. So Kanchenjunga National Park. Kanchenjunga National Park in Sikkim. This is the mixed site. Mixed means a bit of cultural and a bit of natural as well. These are the other ones. Apart from that, we also have intangible sites. It started with Ram Leela, Vedic chanting. All these have been given the culture, the intangible heritage site status by UNESCO in India. This is the complete list. Please try and remember this. Usually, what happens is, since the number of intangible sites are lower, you can expect a question from this. Also, if there has been any new addition in the list, do remember that for the prelims examination. Bhanu, natural sites means something that we have not built, it has occurred by nature. Let's see if you can answer this question. Read this carefully. Let me know once you have read this, I'll give you your options. Okay, your time has started. Janvi, if the parliamentary secretaries are appointed at the center government level, then obviously the center government will take care of their salary emoluments. If it's happening at the state government level, they will take care of it. Who else do you expect will take care of their salary? What is the other option? If not the government, then who will? 49% people got this right. This is C, 1, 2, and 3. Yoga, Ramlila, Kalbelia. Where exactly is Kalbelia famous? The Kalbelia dance belongs to which part of India? Which state? Yes, Rajasthan. Rajasthan. It's very famous folk dance of Rajasthan. Garba, Republic Day Parade are not a part of the intangible world UNESCO sites. I'll just show you the list once again. If you want, you can read it through. The first ones were Ramlila, Vedic chanting. It then went on till 2021. It ended with Durga Puja in Kolkata. Make sure that you remember these. These are very short, simple topics, but questions can be asked very easily from these kind of topics as well. Let me take up a few questions. Um, Similarly, saying if parliamentary secretary is only a post given to anyone, that is MP or MLA, then what's the problem in giving the post to AAP MLAs? Because similar, no, that is not how it works. So basically, you have to understand there is a law called Office of Profit. So if you are a member of parliament, you cannot hold another office of profit. If you do, you will be disqualified. So if any state has to give a post of parliamentary secretary to someone, the state should first pass a law that the office of parliamentary secretary will not be considered as an office of profit. Delhi government could not pass that law. Even before that, they appointed parliamentary secretaries. That was the problem. Ritesh has a question. Sir, Chandigarh should go to Punjab or Haryana. Ritesh, you trust my judgment too much. If you ask these difficult questions, which city should have a state, I don't think I am that qualified to answer that. So I will pass this. Don't worry, UPSC is not going to ask this question to you. This site should go to which, or this state will go to which. Don't worry. You are thinking too highly of UPSC. Shivanshi Singh, sir, let if we take that PM become member of Rajya Sabha, then what powers he has and powers he lose? Nothing. There have been PMs who have been members of Rajya Sabha. Dr. Manmohan Singh, for all the 10 years he was a prime minister, he was a member of Rajya Sabha only. S.G. Devegowda, a member of Rajya Sabha. Indira Gandhi, for some time, was a member of Rajya Sabha. So, nothing like that. Anyways, ministers can take part in proceedings of both the houses. They cannot vote. So, even if a minister, let's say finance minister, PM, is a member of Rajya Sabha, he can still come and debate and take part in Lok Sabha as well. He will not vote, but ministers can take part in proceedings of both the houses. So don't worry. Abhay Singh, is the post of minister an office of profit? No. The reason being that, as I said, Parliament has published a list. They can make more inclusion in those lists to tell which offices are not office of profit. Minister is one of those. Minister is not an office of profit. All of a sudden, people seem a lot interested in parliamentary secretaries. I don't know why. I think I gave the wrong example. Does parliamentary secretary get salary and facilities? I hope they do. See, parliamentary secretary is not a constitutional post. It is appointed by the government whenever they want. So they decide the salary, they decide what they want to do and what they don't want to do. It's more of a lollipop being given out to members of legislature who are not made ministers. As simple as that. Everyone wants to be a minister. Those who can't be ministers, you give them lollipop. Oh, don't worry, you're a parliamentary secretary. Tell your family, I got promoted today, I became parliamentary secretary. As simple as that. Parliamentary secretaries, what powers do they have? It's not defined. It depends on who has made them. And don't write this lollipop thing in the examination. It will hurt you. Okay. No more questions on parliamentary secretary. Full stop. If you have some actually real question, please ask that. UPSC will not ask you all these questions about parliamentary secretaries. No more question on parliamentary secretaries. Okay, Veena has a good question. Let's come back to that. Veena is saying, what happens to a site if it is added to World Heritage List? What are the special powers? Absolutely zero special powers. If you add it to World Heritage List, nothing happens. It just becomes famous. So you expect more tourists to come in. UNESCO will help you in preserving that with their expertise, technical knowledge, nothing more, nothing less. So UNESCO will help you with conservation, not no money, etc. You just hope more and more people will come in as tourists because it will become famous and you will earn more money. As simple as that. Done? No more parliamentary secretary questions. Enough for parliamentary secretary for today. What else? Yes, Tanu. Economy of the site increases, economy of the area, economy of the country increases. That is how basically heritage sites are. Okay, let's go ahead then. The next article that we have, CPEC. CPEC stands for China Pakistan Economic Corridor. The China Pakistan Economic Corridor, the two sides have agreed they will extend it to Afghanistan as well. Now, what exactly is China Pakistan Economic Corridor? Let me first show you the map and then I'll come back. Let's look at this map. So, the idea of China Pakistan Economic Corridor that China always had, they want to get connected towards the Arabian Sea. So just try and imagine this. If China, for example, wants to buy oil from the Middle East, or China wants to sell their products in Middle East, West Asia, or Africa, they have to take a very long route. If this is China, they'll have to come all the way here to reach the Middle East. Rather than that, what they can do is they have built this highway and big corridor that will connect the Kashgar province of China, Xinjiang province of China, to Pakistan's Gwadar port. This is the China Pakistan Economic Corridor, that is the CPEC. The idea is simple. China thinks that now from Middle East, from West Asia, if they have to buy petrol or if they want to sell something to West Asia, rather than going all the way through, they can actually just bring the product here and then they can take it by road. As you can see, the problem here is it goes through Pakistan occupied Kashmir. The problem is it goes to Pakistan occupied Kashmir. As you can see, this is the issue, and that is why India has been speaking up against it. But the problem is, even if India has made a lot of noise about it, nothing really has come out of it. China, in fact, has offered India that India should also join the CPEC. They have been investing a lot of money in this infrastructure. It's not just one highway, there are many other developments that are happening. For example, coal mining project is being built, solar power project is being built, then there are thermal power projects that are being built, all with Chinese money. Ever since this project has been announced by China about 10 years back, Pakistan has been extremely happy because they don't have to spend a lot of money. It's the Chinese that are spending a lot of that money over here. Now, they want to expand this to Afghanistan as well. The problem that India has is that we do not want that this part, that is India's part, officially Pakistan occupied Kashmir, we do not want this part to have China's entry as well. Now, please remember here, India has always had this stand. We do not want the Kashmir issue to become an international issue. Pakistan always wants this to become an international issue, meaning that Pakistan wants other countries also to come in and interfere. India doesn't want that. India thinks it's a bilateral issue. Let only India and Pakistan resolve it. But Pakistan has invited China, US, as many countries as they want to come and interfere in this issue. Now, one question is, and Vedishri also already has asked this question, why India allowed China to pass through our land? Because this land is not under our control. This land is what you call Pakistan occupied Kashmir, which Pakistan occupies. So this goes through this part of India. This is where the problem starts. Now, I'll tell you something very interesting here. Look at this map carefully. Look at this map carefully. See this region. Pakistan has different provinces. One of the province of Pakistan is Baluchistan. This is Baluchistan. So Baluchistan, Baluchistan is the largest province of Pakistan. Largest province, not developed. In fact, Baluchistan has tribal uprising against the Pakistan government. Whenever CPEC work was going on, there were many attacks on the Chinese government, on the Chinese workers as well in this area, that is Baluchistan area. That is why the project plan was changed. Earlier, the plan was this dotted line, as you see. Now, the plan of the project is to go by this route. So that project in Baluchistan has reduced. In Baluchistan, the coverage of the project will not be very high. Also, apart from that, as you know, there have been allegations by Pakistan that India supports the leaders of Baluchistan. Please understand this. Baluchistan is a tribal area. People in Baluchistan have been demanding independence from Pakistan for a long time. Pakistan says India supports the Baluch group, the Baluch tribals. India obviously does not accept that. But now the China-Pakistan economic corridor going till Afghanistan is not really a welcome sign for India. See, ever since uh, Taliban has come back to power, we have seen that China has made a lot of efforts to become close to Taliban. What they have done is they have given a lot of help to Taliban. China was the first country to supply foreign aid to Taliban as well. The reason being, China realizes Afghanistan has a lot of mineral reserves like lithium, etc., and China wants to take advantage of that. For that only, to ensure that lithium reserves, other products from Afghanistan can be brought back to China, they are extending this corridor to Afghanistan as well. This is why it is in the news. India obviously does not like it. We do not want that this project should go on because it's undergoing from our territory. It's a $60 billion project entirely funded by China. It connects China's Xinjiang province to the Arabian Sea. Now, Xinjiang province also is one of those parts of China which are not really developed. China also has some parts which are underdeveloped. One of them is Xinjiang province. China wants to ensure its development by connecting it to the Arabian Sea. That is why this is in the news. Now, it is a part of something called One Belt, One Road initiative. Now, One Belt, One Road initiative means, in simple terms, China wants to be connected to the entire world, especially till Europe. So, China is building connectivity by road, rail, etc., till Europe. There's a train right now that goes from China to Spain in a matter of a few days. So, China has this idea of connecting to the entire world through water and through land under One Belt, One Road initiative. This is a multi-billion-dollar project launched by China in 2013. This is Chinese initiative to bring back the old times of the Silk Route. Now, as you know, silk was invented in China. Silk was a new kind of a material that had come up, shiny, rich people around the world, the rulers wanted it. Roman Empire, for example, Roman Empire had ordered a lot of it from China. So silk used to travel from China by road till Europe. That was called the Silk Route. China wants to now revive that connectivity by using its money and setting up infrastructure projects around the entire world. This is called the One Belt, One Road initiative. The One Belt, One Road initiative by China has mainly six economic corridors where they have invested money: China, Mongolia, Russia corridor, China, Central Asia corridor, China, Indochina, that is the Southeast Asia part, China, Pakistan economic corridor, Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar, BCIM corridor, and the Eurasian land bridge that is connecting till Europe. This is what China has been trying to do, again because they have a lot of extra money to spend because of their export prowess. They have been spending all this money to ensure that they get better connectivity with the entire world. This is how you can understand from China. They want connectivity till here through water also and through land as well. This is China's One Belt, One Road initiative. They have invited India also to be a part of it, but India, as you know, is not really interested in bringing Chinese money into India because we don't trust the Chinese as such. Okay, let's see if you can answer this question. Read this question, then I'll take up your questions. Read it carefully. Should we begin the poll? Okay, the time has started. Only 19% people have answered this question correctly, which is B. Seems like most of the people have not read it correctly. I know longer questions are those which people don't read correctly. Why is this wrong? Why is the first statement wrong? It's not southwest, it's northwest. I showed you the map as well. If you look at the location of the Xinjiang province, is it coming from southwest of China, northwest of China? This is northwest of China, not southwest. So first statement is wrong. Second statement is true. The answer here has to be B. Other parts of the first statement are correct. Only this part is wrong. It is not southwest, it's the northwest part. Just imagine the geography of China. How will southwest province connect to it? Chishti, we will see the leaderboard at the end of the class. If you're planning to leave right now, then I'll not show you the leaderboard. If you want to see the leaderboard, remain till the end of the class. Okay, let me take up a few questions. In fact, I have more than a few questions. Harshit is saying if government have captured drugs of lakhs of dollars, why doesn't the government sell it and spend the money for good use? Drugs are banned. How will we sell it? You can't just earn money for by anything. If there's something is banned, how will the government sell it? Vejshri is saying why India allowed China. I answered that question. We have not allowed it. Nikhil is saying can India sabotage CPEC parts in POK so that it hurts both China and Pakistan? Please don't write these kind of answers in the mains examination. You are becoming a bureaucrat, not really Chacha Chaudhary. Please make sure in your answer writing also you have to behave like a bureaucrat. Don't behave like let's do this, let's bomb this, let's bomb that. Bureaucracy is not about sabotaging something. Bureaucracy is about having dialogues. So no, we cannot have a plan where we can sabotage CPEC. And again, these things look better in novels and movies. Let's not have it in real life. Bhuvneshwaram is saying, let's say I love question that started. Let's say if in the future Pakistan and India go for a war, if India captured Pakistan occupied Kashmir, does China take as an attack on China, interfere in direct with us? I don't know the future. I don't know. If you ask this question, sir, what if tomorrow sun doesn't rise? Then what will happen to US? I don't know, man. Please let's not manufacture hypothetical situations in your mind. UPSC does not ask you hypothetically what will happen. So let's focus on facts. Let's not go through hypothetical questions. If Because see, there is no end to hypothetical questions. If president is signing on the bill, but sir, the ink of the pen is over in the midway, then what will happen, sir? The bill will be passed or not? Sir, what if the parliament is locked and everyone forgets the key of the lock? Will the parliament session take place or not? You don't see these kind of questions. These are not riddles or champak or nandan. Don't worry. Let's not go to hypothetical situation. Let's stay to till facts for the examination purpose. Dilip is saying, why don't we attach POK and get it? Because it's not that easy. Pakistan considers it as their territory. So unless you are willing to go on a full-fledged war with a nuclear-powered nation, I don't think it's that easy to just go ahead and capture POK. Pakistan students who are preparing for their UPSC, they are asking their teacher, sir, why don't we capture Kashmir from Indian side? Just imagine what that teacher would be saying. Same answer is mine. It's not that easy. See, you have to understand you are now appearing for an examination where you will be the advisor to the prime minister. So your thinking should be of that level, right? It's not that easy. Do you think it would have been that easy and government of India has not done it for 75 years? It has to be difficult, right? Ria is saying why Pakistan is entered in India, why we give permission. Are we never gave permission to enter for anyone to enter in IR. If you have not attended IR classes so far, wait for the IR classes. You'll have a complete discussion about India Pakistan relations, how Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and that is how maybe you will understand. Please don't think yesterday Pakistan came and took Kashmir part and we did not even do anything about it. There's a long complex history attached to it. Why India is not anything while Pakistan occupied our territory? It happened in 1947-48. India did do go for a war. Did you not know India went on wars with Pakistan? That was for this issue only. Nikhil is saying, won't it be helpful for India to support Balochistan freedom fighters and Pashtun fighters? See, unofficially we do. Officially, we cannot help another country's faction. Officially, we cannot say we are helping those that are demanding independence from Pakistan. Internally, the agencies, security agencies do that, but openly government cannot have this policy. This project will affect relation between India and Pakistan. In Afghanistan, it might, but again, for Afghanistan right now, China is more important than India. Why doesn't India support Balochistan group? Because again, we can't support openly a group that is against another country. That is not how it works. That is not how diplomacy works. Why is Pakistan not willing to solve the issues? Again, I can't tell you what is in Pakistan's mind. Shawik is saying, if it's not time to raise our voice against China, the day is not far. China will use the Rajpath of Delhi. Why is this question being given to me? SME, please don't forward the comments to me. If there's a question, I'll be happy to take that. Let's not forward just random comments to me, right? It's just extending the time. What is the profitability or probability, sorry, that Pakistan can overcome the debt trap set up by China? There's a lower possibility. They can only overcome the debt trap if they have enough money to pay back the loan, which they don't have right now. What are the ways by which India can reoccupy POK? Okay, I'll skip all the questions on POK. I would. Okay. Guys, wait for the IR classes. Maybe you have better understanding there. And again, hypothetical question like these will never be asked, and it's better that you also think in the right manner. Okay, let's move ahead then. The next article that we have here is on the National Technology Day. The National Technology Day is a day that India celebrates to commemorate when India was successful in taking up or in conducting the Pokhran nuclear test. So, as you know, this week India completed 25 years of that Pokhran test under Atal Bihari Vajpayee when he was the Prime Minister. 11th of May 1998 was the day that we conducted the Pokhran test. That is the day that is celebrated as the National Technology Day. When it completed 1 year, that is in 1999, that is when this day was commemorated. Since that day till today, every single year, we observe the National Technology Day. Again, this is a day that has been dedicated to our scientists, to the scientific community, because it is because of them only that we were able to ensure that America doesn't come to know of our plans, and we were able to actually have a nuclear test, and India officially became a nuclear power. Now, please remember this: India had conducted a peaceful nuclear explosion at the time of Indira Gandhi, also. Please remember this. At the time of Indira Gandhi, we had something called peaceful nuclear explosion, that is PNE. You should know there is a difference between what Indira Gandhi had done, that is peaceful nuclear explosion, and what happened when Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the prime minister in 1998. The Smiling Buddha operation in 1974 was not an atomic bomb. It was not a nuclear bomb. It was an effort by the government, by the scientists, to prove that yes, we have nuclear fuel and we know how to use that. But it was not really a bomb that was exploded. Bomb was exploded in the second test, that is 1998. That is why after 1974, India never said that we are now a nuclear powered nation or we have a nuclear weapon. It was only after 1998 that we say that we tested a nuclear bomb. In 1974, we did not test a nuclear bomb. That is officially called peaceful nuclear explosion. Although there have been multiple accounts, multiple investigations done, a lot of different accounts and investigations that have been done that tell that maybe the peaceful nuclear explosion at the time of Indira Gandhi also was actually a bomb and not just a peaceful explosion. But officially, from the side of India, what was done at the time of Indira Gandhi was just a nuclear explosion, a peaceful one. It was in 1998. As you know, after the nuclear explosion was done, India officially became a nuclear power. India also had to face a lot of sanctions from countries around the world. USA imposed sanctions on us, Japan imposed sanctions on us, because India did this nuclear test while hiding it from most other countries. USA did not want us to do the nuclear test. It was done while keeping it an entire secret. Although these sanctions that were imposed on India did not go on for a long time, these sanctions were removed very quickly. The reason being that India was a very attractive market for these kind of nations such as US, Japan, etc. They wanted to sell their products to India. So just a few months after these sanctions were imposed, the sanctions were taken back. Also, they realized that India has never ever misused its nuclear power. We are one of the few countries that has never ever given a threat to any country as such. We have never ever told any country that we will use nuclear weapons on you. Pakistan keeps doing that, Russia also keeps doing that, but we have never done that. That is why we have earned the trust of the world community. As you know, India has not even signed the NPT. We are not a nuclear non-proliferation treaty signatory. Even then, countries such as US, Japan, all of them have signed a civil nuclear deal with India. That also is a testament to the fact that India's nuclear doctrine has been extremely successful. Our nuclear doctrine has three components: no first use, credible minimum deterrent, and nuclear command authority. Now, please understand this. No first use means India has promised that we will never be the first one to use the nuclear weapons. We will only use nuclear weapon number one if a country attacks us with the nuclear weapon, then second, if there is a chemical or a biological weapon used against us. If there's a chemical or a biological weapon used against us, only then India will use a nuclear weapon. Third part is India will not use a nuclear weapon against a non-nuclear weapon country. So the country that doesn't have nuclear weapons, India will not use it against them. This is called India's no first use policy. Again, we will not be the first one. Second, we will only use it if a chemical or a biological weapon has been used against us. And thirdly, we will not use it against those countries that do not have nuclear weapons. Second, we have credible minimum deterrence. Credible minimum deterrence means India has prepared nuclear arsenal so that we are ready to launch whenever there is an attack on us. We have made sure that at least certain minimum level of nuclear technology or nuclear fuel is available to be used at any point of time. And third, and the most important part of our nuclear doctrine, is nuclear command authority. Now, what does it mean? See, in simple terms, you have to understand India is a successful democracy, and the proof is that our nuclear weapons are under control of a civilian government. Our nuclear weapons are under control of a civilian government, meaning that in India, if a nuclear weapon has to be used, it is not that the army will take the decision, it is the civilian government that will decide at the end of the day. Unlike in Pakistan, where we have the army in control of the nuclear weapons, we have a democratically elected government. They decide the use of nuclear weapons. The use of nuclear weapons is decided by the Nuclear Command Authority. The Nuclear Command Authority has the Political Council, Executive Council, and Strategic Forces Command. Please remember this. Political Council are the ones headed by the Prime Minister. They are the ones who authorize the use of a nuclear weapon. So at the end of the day, it is the authority of the Prime Minister. They will be the one who will authorize that a nuclear weapon has to be used or not. Secondly, Executive Council is the one that advises the Political Council on what to do. Should we use nuclear weapons? Should we not use nuclear weapons? In the end, we have the Strategic Forces Command. They are the soldiers who will actually fire nuclear weapons. So remember, we have the Political Council that takes the final decision. We have the Executive Council. Executive Council is the one that suggests should an attack happen or not, and the Strategic Forces Command that will take the final, that will actually shoot the weapon in the end. This is called India's Nuclear Command Authority. They are the ones who decide whether nuclear weapons have to be used or not. Let's see if we can answer this question. Read it carefully. It's a pretty easy question for you. Okay, let's begin. Your time is up. 39% people answered this question correctly. Eat more almonds so that you can remember for a longer time. We just read it 2 minutes back. Most of the people said the Prime Minister. Prime Minister is the head of the Political Council. It is the head of the Political Council. I'll just take you back here. See, Political Council headed by the Prime Minister. They take the final test. Executive Council headed by the National Security Advisor. They are the ones who will advise. And the Strategic Command Forces, they will be the one who will actually take the final call. Please remember, the Executive Council headed by the National Security Advisor. That is what the question was. Most of the people answered from political advisor point of view. Ashli is saying because Google is saying this. So more than 40% people referred to Google to answer. Pretty good speed, man. In 30 seconds, you can even Google and come back with the answer. Very impressed. Okay, let me take up a few comments. Hopefully, better question than better comments this time around. Then we'll move on to the second one. Vaishali is asking, what happens to marine life when we do such kind of tests? Does it harm ecosystem of that area permanently? So Vaishali, these tests are not done in water. They are done underground only, so there's no impact on the marine life as such. Yes, there will be impact on the nearby places. It's not to say that there will not be an impact, but there is no impact on marine life because these are not underwater tests. Also, we have something called CTBT, and there's something called PTBT. Sorry, PTBT, and then there's something called CTBT. So PTBT is Partial Test Ban Treaty. Partial Test Ban Treaty, India has also signed. It means that countries have agreed that we will only test a nuclear bomb underground and nowhere else. Then we have CTBT. CTBT is Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty means no test, no nuclear test. India has not signed this. India has signed this. Partial test ban treaty means we will only test nuclear weapons underground, not in water, not in space, not anywhere else. Then I have a question from Vaishali. What happened? Vaishali's question is done. Nikhil is saying, are India's 150 plus active warheads enough to match 500 plus of Pakistan and China together? How would I know? And why should you know? Do you think UPSC will ask you this question? No. Before asking this question to yourself, think, would UPSC ask this question to you? Would they tell you, calculate 500 plus is good enough for 150 plus or not? No. So what's the point of asking these questions? India government doesn't officially say how many nuclear warheads we have. These are just international reports that come in. And trust me, if there is a war which uses nuclear weapons, we will not be alive after two or three are used. So don't worry, we will never get to know 150 are enough to fight 500 or not. Shahnawaz is saying, let's say, guys, let's not have a question that starts with let's say, because UPSC never asks you this question, let's say, imagine. Those questions are not asked, okay? Because, see, as I told you, if you just start imagining stuff, you are going very far from the syllabus. Only start imagining stuff and imagining questions when you have completed the entire syllabus and you are done with everything, and then go with imagining stuff. Okay, then I have a question. Ilyas is saying in brief about NPT. So NPT is Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty that simply says any country that had nuclear weapons before 1967 will be allowed to keep it. After 1967, any country that tested nuclear weapon cannot have it. That is the entire treaty. India does not like it because China conducted their test in 1964. They'll be allowed to keep it. India will not be. Simple. Then I have a question about nuclear supplier group, NSG. Nuclear supplier group basically is a group of those countries that want to protect nuclear technology and fuel. They don't want nuclear technology to go to other parts of the world. India is not a member of it. It was the group was established as a response to India doing the nuclear test. Sabha, it's not. See, okay, I'll answer something. Sabha is saying, please don't be short with our queries. We are beginners. I am not shocked because you are beginners. I am giving a suggestion that if you think that UPSC will manufacture, uh, let's say, hypothetical situations and then ask you questions, no, that doesn't happen. The UPSC exam is about facts. Whatever topic you have read, whatever subject that you would have read, every teacher is teaching you facts, right? They're not teaching you hypothetical stuff. The problem that you would face is if you start talking about hypothetical stuff, then there will be no end to your questions and there will be no end to your syllabus. The example that I gave you, UPSC will not ask you this question that tomorrow, if water supply stops in the parliament, then what will happen? What do you think the prime minister will drink? Do you think these kind of questions will be asked? No. So if you have to basically conquer this exam, you have to stay within the syllabus. Hypotheticals will never be asked. Perfect. Let's go ahead then. The next article is about a government scheme, that is Poshan Bhi Padhai Bhi. This is a scheme that has come in from for Anganwadis mainly. Now, what exactly are Anganwadis? How does it work? Anganwadis are centers where the government of India ensures that young children, lactating mothers, etc., they can get nutrition and they can get medical supplies also. So Anganwadis are these kind of small government centers where nutritionists, meals, medicines, etc., first aid is given. Anganwadis have been spread all across the country. Now the government of India is planning to start education also through Anganwadis. So far, Anganwadis are mainly focusing on nutrition. Now they also want to ensure that they can have nutrition and studies also, education also in Anganwadis. This is called Poshan Bhi Padhai Bhi. It is a part of Mission Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2.0. Yes, similar to the midday meal scheme, just that the midday meal scheme is for students going to school. In Anganwadis, basically remember, Anganwadis focus on children under 6 years of age. So Anganwadi is mainly focused on children which are under 6 years of age. And under 6 years of age means, again, they are not really going to school, they don't really have a lot of education. So it's about primary education and about healthcare. The government has allocated 600 crore rupees under this scheme. National Institute of Public Corporation and Child Development will give training to Anganwadi workers about how to educate children. They will be taught about the principles of new education policy as well. It will be tried that education should be given in mother tongue only, so that every children can actually learn what are the basics of education before they reach the school. So it's more of a preparatory school or preschool, as you want to call it. This is what the Anganwadis will do. Anganwadis started as a part of integrated child development services. Anganwadis right now play a very, very big role in India, not just about giving nutritionists to the child, ensuring that they are vaccinated, ensuring that they get all the medicines that are required, lactating mothers, those who don't have anyone in their house to cook nutritious meal for them, they can come to Anganwadis and they can get benefit. They mainly focus on mothers and children under the age of 6. There are close to 14 lakh of these Anganwadis across the country, and government of India thinks that by using them for both nutrition and education, we can conquer a lot of problems that most of the youth in India are facing. The responsibilities are: number one, to give preschool activities, preschool education, give nutritionary supplements also, to provide health and nutrition education to the children, bring social changes as well. Social change means educating children, educating mothers and the people living by about questions on, let's say, family planning. What is family planning? Why should they actually look for family planning? What is the importance of education? What is the importance of birth control program? All these kind of things, they will be trying to bring a social change in the society by spreading all those messages. In the rural areas, they'll be working with the panchayats, the gram sabha, etc. They have been responsible for introducing the nutritional level of a lot of children in India, especially in the rural areas, especially poor people who can't afford to have their own home cooked meals. Having said that, the Anganwadis have their own issues. Most Anganwadis don't have proper infrastructure. If you are living in rural areas or small towns, you might have seen Anganwadis. There is someone in the chat who said, I'm studying in Anganwadis. So you know that Anganwadis don't really have the best of infrastructure, lack of government funding. The workers who are working have low remuneration for workers. Now, the problem is when you have no low remuneration, you do not have enough people willing to work, because when you don't have enough money, enough salary being paid to you, you don't really want to work, you are not really encouraged to work. Limited outreach, not a lot of people actually come in and be a part of Anganwadi, especially from the upper middle class section. Anganwadis mainly have been restricted to people who don't have their own resources. So there's a limited outreach, mainly in the rural areas only. And many of them, even though they may not be doing a good job, the government has not been doing proper monitoring. The government has not been able to ensure that the Anganwadis get all the required support in terms of training, in terms of equipments, which has what led to the Anganwadi is not being able to achieve the true goal. Remuneration means salary. Remuneration means the salary that they have. Here, limited outreach means that they are not able to impact as many people as they should. They should be able to impact many, many more people. For a country of India's scale and size, they should be able to impact many more people going out in the open rather than actually impacting just a few people. Praveen, the remuneration is decided by the government, not by the center. So there is one single remuneration decided for all the Anganwadis in the state. It's not that center to center it will differ. Those who don't know SDGs are Sustainable Development Goals. SDGs are Sustainable Development Goals. These are a set of 17 goals that the nations around the world are trying to achieve by 2030. So there are 17 goals in total, sustainable development goals. For example, reduce the level of hunger, reducing poverty, reducing malnutrition, reducing maternal mortality rate, those kind of things. These are 17 sustainable development goals to be achieved by 2030 by India and nations around the world. Elena is saying, Elena, I know Anganwadis are not literally play schools. In play schools, it's more about education. It's not really about nutrition. So Anganwadis also serve as, let's say, places where government can ensure vaccination to children, polio drops, etc. So they are not just about play school. It's a lot about other things as well. Okay. The next article that we have is another government scheme launched by the government specially for healthcare sector. This is Saksham LMIS. Saksham LMIS stands for Stimulating Advanced Knowledge for Sustainable Health Management. LMIS is Learning Management Information System. So what is this? In simple terms, this is a kind of a online portal that has been developed for healthcare workers so that they can upskill themselves. This is the simplest idea of what is a Saksham portal. It is a digital learning platform. It will give online training, medical education to healthcare professionals across the country. So those healthcare professionals who are working, let's say in the government sector, those healthcare professionals, those are working in far off rural areas, those who don't have a lot of training and development, for them so that they can upskill themselves. That is why the Saksham LMIS has been launched. It will have about 200 public health and 100 clinical courses, all of these online. It will be a centralized resource filled with training and teaching material. Again, because the government understands people working in the private sector can go ahead and have training in, they can pay for their courses. On the other hand, it is in the government sector that we do not have enough options, especially many doctors cannot afford it. That is how the Saksham portal will help them out. This Saksham portal has been launched by National Institute of Health and Family Welfare. The National Institute of Family Welfare was set up in 1977. Again, it was to act as a think tank. Think tank means an organization that gives policy advice to the government. So, an organization that gives policy advice, what kind of policies to be made, what kind of policies should not be made, then the government takes a final call. They act with frontline health workers like ASHAs. ASHA is accredited social health activists. So ASHAs again are those social health activists that are employed by the government that spread the message of health and family welfare. For example, they may be given the responsibility of ensuring that if there is a rural area, there is no hospital nearby, they will be the one helping with pregnancy, they will be the one helping with vaccination, etc. ASHA workers, etc. All of them work under National Institute of Health and Family Welfare. This is a practice question. Let's see if you can answer this, and then I'll take up one of your questions as well. Srishti, no, it is not a statutory body. Done? Have you read this? Should we start? Okay, your time begins now. Kiran has a okay. Kiran has a long comment. I'll just read that. Kiran is saying it is a comment and a suggestion that ministers and whosoever is a part of government sector must go to government hospitals only for their treatment, and they should be studying in government schools so that the conditions will improve. Okay, I'll tell you something about it. Let the time get over, then I'll tell you something about it. 33% answered this question correctly. Oh, oh, sorry. I think I gave you the wrong answer. The answer has to be, yeah, I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong answer. The answer has to be B only. I think I gave you the wrong answer by C. This is actually B only. First is wrong. This is not a Ministry of Science. This is not Ministry of Science. The answer has to be B only, not C. Yes. The answer has to be B. It is Ministry of Health and not Science. That is why the first statement is wrong. The second statement is true. The answer here has to be B. The answer here has to be B. So those who marked B as correct, you are right. Those who marked C as correct are wrong. Okay, I'll give you an interesting example. So a few years back, yes, Shweta, this for all healthcare professionals. They are targeting government sector, but it is open for all the healthcare professionals. So a few years back, what happened was uh, the Allahabad High Court gave an order in UP that all the IAS officers in UP have to send their children to government schools only, so that they can see the situation of government schools and they can improve it. After this order was given, there was a lot of furore and many IAS officers became very angry that how can you force our children to study in government schools only, and that order was later taken back. So this has been done by Allahabad High Court in the past, as you are saying, suggesting. But again, the problem is you are by doing this, you are giving punishment to someone else for someone else's incompetence, right? You are making the children suffer for the incompetence of, you don't know, ministers, maybe bureaucrats. So that kind of a thing cannot really be done. Yes, Ilyas, it includes private professionals as well. This is government is hoping that government hospitals and government healthcare workers will take more advantage, but this portal is open for private healthcare as well. Okay, not just government, private healthcare as well. Sabha is saying going to government school is not punishment. No, Sabha, I'm not saying it's punishment, but see, you would be lying if you say that you think that government schools and private schools are at the same level. You would also know that, right? So let's not joke by saying that no, no, government schools are fine. We all know the reality. That is a fact. There may be some exceptions, but the fact is that if given, I'll let me ask you this question. If you have a choice, let's say you have a choice and you have to decide where you study, and money is not a problem, what would you choose? Would you choose a government school or a private school if money is not really a problem? In most cases, you will go for a private school, right? It may be about perception, maybe about facilities, but again, you have to understand the difference between the two. The facilities are better, infrastructure is better, there are more chances of you getting exposure. I am not saying that government schools are bad, government schools are great, but again, if you take the comparison, you will see in India private schools are doing much better. So again, you have your answer there. Anyway, let's come back. The next article is about 8 years of Jan Suraksha schemes. So basically what has happened, 8 years have been completed of three very, very important government schemes. If you remember, 8 years ago, very soon after the government first came to power, the government had launched some very interesting insurance schemes. One was PM Suraksha Bima Yojana, one was PM Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, and one was Atal Pension Yojana. These have completed 8 years now. Now, these are three different schemes, slightly confusing to remember. First one was about Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana. This is, as the name suggests, it's a accidental insurance scheme open to those in age group of 18 to 70 years. Accidental coverage would be given of about 2 lakh rupees. Accident death coverage of 2 lakh rupees. Many people took it because the premium was extremely low. The premium from the government was decided to be just 20 rupees per annum. That was the first scheme launched, because again, these schemes were mainly aimed at people from the poor section of the society. The second scheme launched by the government was Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana. It was a life insurance scheme. So life insurance basically a scheme that you get or someone else gets on your behalf. When you pass away, whoever is your nominee, they will get the scheme. It was open for those from 80 to 50 years. You have to get, or you can get 2 lakh of health of life insurance just by paying a premium of 436 per annum. Just by paying 436 rupees an annum, you would be able to go and you can get this premium. Third one was Atal Pension Yojana. As the name said, it was pension. So first one was about accident, second was life insurance, third is pension. For this, you have to be between 18 and 40 years of age, and you can choose whatever your contribution will be. The more you contribute right now, the more pension you will get later on. These are the three schemes that were launched by the government, and 8 years have been completed. From the prelims point of view, you must remember facts about these schemes. These are all different, these are all important. For example, for pension scheme, you can decide how much you want to contribute: 1000, 2000, 4000, 5000, whatever you want to contribute. And depending upon that, you will get your money back once you retire after the age of 60 years. So far, about 5 crore people have subscribed to the Atal Pension Yojana. Let's see if you can answer this question based on the government schemes. And we have one more topic after that. After that, I'll take up some of your questions as well. Read this carefully. Atal Pension Yojana, PM Jeevan Jyoti Yojana, and then we have the PM Suraksha Bima Yojana. Let me know once you have read this. Should we start the time? Should we start? Okay. Five more seconds. 53% people got this right. Glad to see that. This is a D. All these are absolutely correct. Not an easy question to answer, especially if you try and answer this after some time. If you have just read it right now, plus you people are very good at using Google also, so you may be able to get this right. But do make a table of these kind of schemes. Please remember, whenever you read a government scheme, try and remember the eligibility criteria, try and remember who is implementing the scheme, try and remember who is the responsible agency and what is the target audience. Whenever you read a government scheme, again, government schemes, who is implementing it, target audience, the objective, what are they trying to do. Okay, let's discuss the last one, and then I'll take up whatever comments you have. Okay, let's just take up the last one, then we'll take up the questions all together, right? The last one that we have is UN recently released a report on maternal and infant health. Not a good view for India or the world. The report says that one pregnant woman or newborn dies every 7 seconds. This report has been released, highlighting how many women and babies actually die when the world right now is claiming that we have much better health infrastructure. So, see, these kind of reports are important for various reasons. Number one, these kind of reports tell you different definitions as well. Like, you need to know definition of maternal mortality ratio, definition of stillbirth rate, neonatal mortality rate. All these are numbers that we are trying to reduce. For example, India actually makes up 17% of maternal deaths, stillbirths, newborn deaths, etc. 17% of these deaths occur only in India. Maternal mortality ratio means how many mothers actually die while giving birth to a child. Stillbirth rate again is after 28 weeks. If the child doesn't take birth, or if there is no life in the child after 28 weeks, that will be called the stillbirth rate. Then we have the neonatal mortality rate, again something that the government of India has been trying to reduce. Now these kind of reports coming in from UN are important. As I said, you don't have to remember each and every number. Remembering all these numbers can be extremely difficult, so don't remember all these numbers. Rather than that, focus more on the definitions. What are the definitions? Because these numbers, etc., are extremely difficult to remember anyway. Focus on the trend, whether it is increasing, whether it is decreasing, etc. Like some suggestions have been made by the UN report. Suggestions are, we should have skilled attendance, the postnatal care should be improved, nutrition of the child, nutrition of the mother, all of these have to be taken care of, because in the initial few months the child is mainly dependent on mother's milk, so mother's nutrition also becomes extremely important. The government of India has been trying to increase the number of skilled attendants who are able to ensure that they can take care of the nursing child and the pregnant lady. Apart from that, Anganwadis that we just saw are also an example of this only. For Anganwadis also, for example, are trying to achieve the same kind of thing to prevent all these deaths from happening. Maternal deaths are caused by either severe bleeding. This happens mainly when the pregnancy is not in a controlled environment. When the pregnancy or when the birth is happening outside the hospitals, as it happens mainly in the rural areas, this is where severe bleeding can become a problem. High blood pressure disorders, unsafe abortions, all these factors lead to the high maternal death rate in India. Again, maternal death rate means when the mothers die while giving birth to the child. Apart from that, low birth rate, prematurity, all these are reasons for the child or for the death of the child as well. Then asphyxia means when the child does not have enough oxygen at the time of the childbirth, that can also lead to the death of the child. All these are reasons leading to the high number of maternal and infant mortality rate in the country. These are some government initiatives that have been taken in this regard. We have the Janani Sishu Suraksha Karikram, under which pregnant women are given absolutely free delivery in the public health institutions run by the government. We also have the Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan. We also have the Lakshya portal by the government of India, or the Lakshya initiative. Lakshya stands for Labor Room Quality Improvement Initiative, to ensure that labor rooms become much more caring and they have the state of the art technology when it comes to helping the mothers. This is our last question for the day. Let's see if you remember what we just read and if you are able to answer this question. It's a pretty simple question. Let me start. We have just read about this. Any? Yes, absolutely. You can use this data in the essays if you remember. 64% people have given the correct answer. This is B, 28 weeks. We just read this. This is the definition of stillbirth rates. If baby doesn't show any sign of life after 28 weeks, that is called a stillbirth baby. This brings me to the end of today's webinar. I will show the leaderboard, but as you know, there was one question wrong. So leaderboard might not be exactly right, because one question was not correctly displayed here, but I'll still show you the leaderboard. So these are the people at the top. But again, although Nikhil and Gladlenal have answered 7 questions, but that means one of their questions was wrong. So you have the names right in front of you, but again, since one question was wrong, these are not the exact true results. Okay. I will take a few questions quickly. Those who don't have any questions, you are free to leave and you can start preparing your bed. Okay. Veena has a question. If Pakistan has occupied Kashmir, then why Pakistan occupied Kashmir is still in the maps of India? Because Veena, because officially this is a part of Indian territory. We have never accepted that it has gone away from India. Officially, it is a part of Indian territory. Then the question is, will POK be in the maps of Pakistan? Yes, absolutely. POK is in the maps of Pakistan. Also, if any development happens in POK, which country will represent that area internationally? I don't think any development happening. Can you give an example of a development happening where you have to represent internationally? I don't think it's like saying what happens in Delhi, what happens in your city, who will represent your city internationally. That doesn't really happen, right? It is under Pakistan's control, unfortunately. So Pakistan is the one whose government is running in that area, if that is what you're asking. Bhanu is saying which type of advanced knowledge, sir, here talk about sustainable health management. Which kind of advanced knowledge? So advanced knowledge basically is about the fact that do you know how to take care of situations where or problems where situation goes out of hand, those kind of stuff. Parv is saying is paper is ready and we should revise now current affair. Okay, Parv, if you are someone who is appearing for 28th May, you can stop current affairs very easily. 20-25 days, you can stop current affairs before 20-25 days of the prelims exam. Anshika is saying how to condense newspapers, DNA, CNA, or DNA, CNA are the same. Monthly magazine and webinars to remember and revise. It's difficult. The life of an aspirant is difficult. So, again, uh, I would say focus on the see it will be more of a revision. I would say the CNA PPTs now you can download those. When you go through monthly magazines, it will be a revision of that. Newspaper part you can skip. I think the CNA part in monthly magazine would be a revision of that. For webinars also, whatever we are discussing here, all these topics are covered in the monthly magazine anyway, so in the text form you will get there. So monthly magazine is a culmination of all these things. Thank you, Akshat. Okay, Anish has a question. Difference between horizontal and vertical proliferation. So basically, what happens is if too many countries acquire nuclear weapons, that is called horizontal proliferation. So horizontal proliferation means many countries acquiring nuclear weapons. Vertical proliferation means one country having many nuclear weapons. That is called vertical. So vertical proliferation means one country having many nuclear weapons. Horizontal means many countries having nuclear weapons. So no, CNA would cover most of the newspaper for you, so you can leave that. Bhavna is saying, I'm a beginner. Tell me how to write question answer. Bhavna, we'll discuss it in one of the main answer writing sessions, so don't worry about that. My suggestion is if you're just a beginner, don't focus a lot of answer writing. If you're just a beginner, spend at least 2.5 to 3 months just gaining knowledge as much as you can. Only then you can have good answers. So let's not rush into answer writing from the very first day onwards. Wait for 2.5 to 3 months, you will get much better answers. Perfect. Let's then end the session. Thank you so much for joining in. Have a good night. We'll see you very soon in the next session. Bye bye. Have a good day. Jai Hind.